Hi, everyone. My name is Nathan Merkel. Welcome to the Ivory Tower podcast, where we talk a little bit about sport and society, what sport looks like within the global context, what it looks like within the American context, what we think about sport, how we experience sport, why, how do we consume sport. I really hope you enjoy the following episode, and I hope you will continue to listen down the road. Thanks. Okay, everyone. Thank you for joining episode 2. My name is Nathan. This is the Rebuilding the Ivory Tower podcast. I am welcomed here by Hugh. Hugh Robertson, I'll let you introduce yourself.
G'day everyone. Hugh Robertson. Just finished, graduated from the University of Illinois. Played 4 years of college football there. Now I'm in the job force.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, we got a pretty interesting conversation scheduled today. I'm really interested about talking about international athletes and the landscape of collegiate sport, the future of punting in college football, talking a little bit about some details, but I'd love to just sort of hear your background of, where you grew up and how you experienced sport back home. If you could just sort of paint us a picture of what that was like.
Yeah, absolutely. Growing up in Victoria, Australia, AFL, Australian Rules Football. AFL is the Australian Football League. It's the professional league, but Australian Rules Football is the sport I grew up playing. It's near and dear to my heart. It's one of the things that you'd wake up every morning excited for on a Saturday, every week, and you'd be struggling to sleep Friday nights, getting excited for the game. So, kind of sport I sort of focused on a lot when I was a kid, and similar to how people grew up here, idolizing professional players in the NFL. I grew up idolizing a lot of players in Australian rules football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great. So did you gravitate toward a specific position, or was there anything that stood out to you? Is there a reason why you decided to join join that pro kick organization that we'll talk about later? But
So with Australian rules football, most of the passing, well, all of the passing basically is done by foot. So from a young age, you sort of practice doing the punting like that, and that's how you pass it to your teammates and try and get the ball down the field to score. So that's sort of every single position. I played all over the place really. So I played a bit of forward line, so centre half forward, area, full forward, and a lot of back line. So centre centre half back and full back positions. That was sort of my main positions I played throughout
yeah,
football back in Australia.
that's great. Did you play any other sports other than Australian rules football, or was that the main sport back home?
That's definitely the main sport back home. I grew up playing a bit of cricket. I'm not
Yeah,
sure if you know too much about cricket.
a lot.
I liked. Do you know a fair bit about cricket?
I know a little bit about cricket. I know the general structure. I know that some games can take up to like 5 or 6 days, right?
Yeah, they can be quite grueling, those games. There's a few different forms to the game. It's obviously from. I'm surprised it didn't make it over from England to America, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely hit it off in Australia, and Australia's a pretty good team in cricket. They pretty dominant in a lot of the games.
Yeah.
Very very closely behind that is probably India. I'd say they're pretty dominant as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, I grew up playing a lot of cricket. Wasn't I was a bit sort of I don't know. I was a bit wasn't patient enough for cricket, so didn't suit me as well. I more sort of enjoyed running around and chasing a football
Yeah. Yeah, I know
than playing
the
the.
yeah, I know the Olympics in the US in a few years is they decided to include cricket because of the massive global interest in the sport. So I'm really curious how that will lay out and how the competition will happen and sort of that thing. But yeah, I'm really interested with sort of how you interacted with sport and what the culture of sport was back home. Do you think the way that sport is laid out back home, does it correlate to what you experience now here in the US, or do you think it's a drastically different sort of like fans consume the sport differently? Athletes are different or cultures. Is there anything that stands out differently, or do you think it's just the same, just under a different country?
That's a good question. I'd sort of say sports back home in Australia is more localized. Like in America, there's so much investment into the leagues and all that sort of stuff. Whereas Australia, it's like I played a lot of country footy growing up, so that's always your volunteers, like the mums but do the canteen, and then it's like $10 to get in, and you stay behind after every game and spend a lot of time at the local football club. It's like a real more social event, I'd say.
Yeah.
Whereas over in America, I mean, understandably, there's a lot of money involved, but it's a lot more business orientated, I'd say. So that's been quite a drastic difference in my experience. I mean, there's obviously positives and negatives of both. But yeah, I mean, coming to America was such a fortunate opportunity, and I've
Yeah.
grown so much since moving over here. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, that's interesting. I in one of my previous classes that I'm in, we talked a lot about the privatization of sport in the U.S. and how youth sport specifically is becoming a lot more privatized. And it sounds like in Australia it was more community based and it was more collective and very inviting, inclusive, and things of that nature. But with the way that the U.S. is going, I think the most expensive sport for kids is soccer, and you pay all these fees for leagues and refs and sort of pricing out a lot of families that just can't afford to play. And so it's really interesting that the the structure of the U.S. and within the sport domain is very privatized and business related, and I feel like everything outside of the U.S., like what you described, is very community based, communal sport, a sport for everyone sort of approach. Did you sort of feel the same way?
Definitely. And I mean, there's a lot riding on the line in the US.
Mm,
Like scholarships, it's so competitive to get a scholarship over here, and a
mm,
scholarship can change a family's life just
yeah.
like that.
Mm,
So I understand how it's so privatized and organized for that reason. Whereas in Australia, we don't really have college football teams or anything like that. So it's just you go through, you play high school football, and if you're good enough, you'll make it to the AFL.
mm,
If you're not good enough, you'll just be content playing in the community. And that's what my life was like
yeah.
for. I was a police officer in Australia whilst doing that.
Wow.
So I'd work my shifts as a police officer, sometimes night shifts, and then play football in the country on the weekends. And
Wow. Yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome. I didn't even know that you were a police officer back home. That's cool.
yeah,
You
yeah,
just you decided to join this organization Pro Kick, right? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
yeah. Pro kick started by Nathan Chapman. He uh, he punted at Green Bay over here, a few preseason games there, and then he realised the potential that Australians have in the sport. So started Pro Kick probably about 15 years ago now, and then ever since then, just been growing the brand and um, sending Australian punters over to America and having a
Yeah.
lot of success.
Yeah, it's really cool. I've got an article up by Vanderbilt, their football program. They talk about the entrance, the entrance requirements. It says that in order to go into Pro Kick, you need to have a 40-yard punt at minimum, 4.5 seconds of hang time, and a personalized invitation. And it says 90% of the graduates get NCAA scholarships. Is this accurate?
Yeah, I'd say so. It's they're pretty honest
Yeah.
down at Pro Kick. They're not going to sort of just string some kids along for the money. I think they're sort of very very honest,
Yeah.
and that's a big part of why they're doing so well.
Right.
It's creates a good name, and
Mhm.
I mean the success that they've had, it speaks for itself.
Yeah. Yeah. And so can you walk me through like a day at Pro Kick? What was that like? Did
Yeah.
you show up and just punt for 8 hours and then go home? What was that about?
Pretty much. I remember my first like tryout at Pro Kick. We played a practice match for my AFL team back home, Stratford Safe Storm. We played out near Shepparton, which is about 2.5 hours north of Melbourne. And then on the way home, we went through, stopped off at a few different pubs. So we'd had a few beers by the time we got back to Bendigo, where I was living at the time. So got back there probably got to bed about 10 o'clock, and then had to get up 5:30 and drive down to Melbourne And that was my first experience of it. Didn't know anything about American football,
Mm.
apart from a few videos on YouTube, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But went down there, just thought, what the heck? Like, it's an opportunity. I've always wanted to move and live in a different country. So I was like, what the hell? Just I'll give it a shot and see what happens.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's wild. That's very interesting. Do you think everybody that was participating in Pro Kick were the same sort of demographic, middle 20s, working a job, previous athletes, or was the age range different, or was it all sort of the same demographic?
it's definitely a mixture.
Hmm.
There's a few guys that are obviously like getting involved with it, like when they're younger at 16, preparing to be
Hmm.
coming to America when they're the 18-year-old that is usually seen at most colleges in America. So there's a lot of people that are interested in the sport, knew about the sport, have contacts they knew about the opportunities that are over in America. For me, that's the first time I'd heard of it. Another guy from our team that was playing in Stratford, say he went and played at Cal Berkeley.
Hmm.
Now he plays at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers up in the CFL.
Yeah.
So he's from the same football team as I played for back home in Bendigo.
Uh,
I heard about him doing the program, and that piqued my interest a little bit. So I asked a few more questions, and then reached out to John Smith, who was the one of the coaches at Pro Kick.
yeah.
3 months later, he got back to me. So the emails mustn't get checked every day.
Yeah.
Got back to me 3 months later, and then said come down that Sunday. So yeah, I was driving down early morning Sunday in about March, I'd say, of 2019, and
Yeah.
then started training there. I finished the football season. Once I finished the football season in about October, that's when I full time went with Pro Kick and try to balance that with my full time job as well. So
Yeah. Yeah. But on the side of coming home after being a police officer, you came home and worked out at Pro Kick being a punter. And here you are
yeah,
basically literally across the entire globe in Illinois after being the punter there. Yeah, just to provide some context for some listeners, I've got an article up here by who's this by? ABC News, I think it is, ABC.net Australian News. Out of 133 programs in the US of US college football, 133, there are currently 61 punters or programs that have at least one Australian punter on an international or on a specific scholarship. So what's pretty wild is that this punting position in collegiate football is 50% Australian. And
yeah.
I find that astonishing. I'm very intrigued by this. And I'm curious if you think one day the Aussie punters are just going to take over punting in the US and in all of sport, every single, the NFL, the college, every position possible. I feel like it's just sort of funny and comical, but I mean, they're very pinpointed and very efficient with the programming that they do with Pro Kick, and it's really interesting to see. And so I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you asked before, like a typical day.
Mm,
So I came down for that tryout. This is literally a typical day.
mm,
Chappie and Johnny, they choose the most windiest place you can possibly punt at,
mhm.
um, and just throw you a ball as hard as they can, and then see what you can do. And yeah, like I said, there's probably half of us that know about um, American football and half of us that don't. But the ball's similar shape to what we use back home, so it's sort of the skills sort of translate pretty closely and pretty quickly to from our punting style to the American football
Yeah.
punting style.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm sure there is an easy transition, an easy correlation from Aussie rules football to straight to just to punting. It's basically the same style, same approach, same everything, right? You really don't have to change much of your technique.
Correct, correct.
Yeah.
Nothing in life is easy, but
Yeah.
it had its moments, but
Yeah.
it's pretty close. So there's a reason there's a lot of Australians coming over here and doing well.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. Do you think, in terms of an athletic program, like, do you think, even though you may be a bit biased because you came in through this, do you think it is an issue that one specific position is solely almost halfway ran by Australian punters? Like, do you think that raises an issue, or do you think that is
I
a pro? I'm just curious what you think.
Yeah, it's a good question. Like I think like you look at the basketball. I don't watch much basketball over here, but a lot of the college students are from different countries,
Yeah.
and that's not creating an issue at all.
Mhm.
Yes, we're like Australians on average are probably very good at punting, um, but at the end of the day, it's a fair competition. So if there's an American guy that's better than an Australian guy, that'll be shown and he'll be played in the game. So I think as long as there's fair competition, and America's very much a believer of fair competition, I believe. So I don't think there's any issue there, and
Yeah.
it's creating a lot of great opportunities for people from Australia that are from backgrounds that probably wouldn't get the opportunity to have get an education,
Yeah.
come over here and play sport and have a great experience and change their life forever.
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool. It is sort of, I think, that an American dream through sport and through college, through that scholarship. It's very interesting. And one thing that just came up a couple of months ago is that in Texas, they're thinking about introducing a bill to actually limit the amount of international scholarships that are available to universities. It says that public lawmakers in Texas are trying to front a bill to where public schools will only be allowed to offer 25% of their total athletic scholarship and financial assistance to athletes who aren't US citizens. So curious, do you think the collegiate atmosphere or being, a part of the football team, do you think, or other football teams, do you think they rely heavily on international athletes, or do you think this sort of law coming into place is not welcoming? Do you think I'm curious what you think.
I mean, I can understand why. I mean, it is America. Like, give up more opportunity to American kids. I understand that and everything like
Yeah.
that. But at the end of the day, it's football's all about competition. Like,
Hmm.
if the coach wants a certain person to play for his team, then I think he should be allowed to make that decision.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree. I don't personally see a problem with international athletes coming over. I think it provides wonderful opportunities for the athlete themselves. It provides an opportunity for other athletes on the team to experience different cultures, and same with the international athlete itself. So that sort of leads me into the next question of like, was there a massive culture shock for you coming from Australia to the US? I'm just curious what was like maybe the most standout thing that you're like, oh my God, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
Well, I came over here during COVID, so right in the
Mhm.
middle, like August 2020. So
Oh yeah.
that was a shock in itself. Like,
Yeah.
I don't recommend anyone moves to another country during a pandemic. It's not that enjoyable.
Yeah.
Probably the loneliest you'll ever feel. But anyway, it's in terms of America, it's not that much of a culture shock because I mean, you're speaking the same language. We have a lot of Asian students. In University of Illinois here, and I feel like that would be a lot tougher of a transition
Right.
from a country that doesn't speak English,
Um,
a completely different culture and language. Um, but honestly, for me personally, it was more the age difference. I came in here at 27. Never really thought about my age being a factor when I was coming over here.
mhm.
But once I got here and spent a few years, and as I was obviously here, I'm getting older, and the kids are coming in getting younger.
Mhm.
So that was really the biggest sort of culture shock, just in terms of the age difference. Like on a football team back home, we'd have all types of ages. You'd have the guys the exact same age as you,
Yeah.
and then you'd have obviously the young guys coming through. So yeah, that was probably the biggest, not shock, but just adjustment that I had to make.
Yeah, I guess it is really easy, like you said, when both countries speak some form of English, even though there are different slangs, different phrases, different words, the foundation of the language is still the same. And so I feel like that was probably a little bit easier to come over than, like you said, some countries that don't speak English. That would have been
Yeah.
a bit bigger of a culture shock. But it's really interesting. I'm curious if you could sort of like walk me through a day at when you were competing and when you were playing as the punter back with the Illinois program.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So it would change a lot. Like it obviously right now is I believe that it'd be finishing spring ball. So it's the almost the end of the spring semester. So right this stage it'd be finishing spring ball. We'd probably have a couple of weeks of rest and home time with family and all sort of stuff. Then we'd be back for summer workouts. And summer workouts would run for 8 weeks. It'd be 6 a.m. or 8 a.m. every morning. Um, Right, and maybe one morning off, and maybe one morning might be a yoga class or something like that. But each workout would probably end up being about 2 hours, so it was pretty strenuous. It was good. I enjoyed it. It was hard. It was definitely hard. And it's not the type of fitness that I'm used to from playing football. It was a lot less running, a lot more just power movements, which I've just been picking up a bit of indoor soccer lately, and I'm really enjoying being able to run around and
Yeah.
that sort of that chasing and the aerobic fitness, the health
Mhm.
benefits I feel like you get from it. So that was an adjustment, but yeah, like in during the season, it's just go, go, go. There's no time to really because you got classes as well.
Mhm.
So obviously I'll backtrack. After the summer, there'll be the fall camp, and that's pretty much every day, 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. at night. The only time you get off really is when you're sleeping. Um,
Wow.
so that's and you need the sleep after a day of
Yeah.
doing fall camp for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm speaking for me because I was what 32 going through fall camp.
Hmm.
No, not 32. I was 31 going through fall camp, and that was hard for me. And I was only doing the punting position. I can't imagine what it'd be like for an O lineman that's constantly crashing into people every day.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, once that fall camp finishes, jump into the season. And it's just like meetings, practice, lifting, class, meetings, practice, lifting, class, and then you got the game on the weekend, obviously.
Hmm.
It's pretty full on. It's a lot of hours. But I mean, I learned a lot about myself from doing it, and the experiences I'll take with me forever.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I'm curious what your thoughts are on the life of a college athlete or student athlete. Did you find yourself ever favoring one of those identities than the other? You know, did you find yourself maybe being more of an athlete than you were a student, or did you find yourself still sort of in the middle? I'm curious because you said you know, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., you know, wake up, class, you know, workout, you know, practice, meetings, you know, go to bed, like you have no time. And so I'm curious what that dynamic was.
Yeah, it's 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 definitely hard to give 100% at multiple things.
Hmm.
If you like, well, how I try to explain it is like I came over here because of the education. I think that's a more of an old school sort of way of looking at the opportunity that I got. But for me, I was here for the education because I knew that that was going to provide opportunities, and the football was just an extra sort of add-on. Like that was what a great experience. Like let's try as hell as we can, but you're here for the education. You're here to better your life and grow as a person. So that's what I sort of took it as. And um, yeah, there's a lot of times you just need a rest. And you feel that a lot, and it can get quite grueling, but it's uh it makes it grows you as well,
Yeah.
for sure.
Did you think it was hard for you to find a sense of community because you're an international athlete coming over, or did you think it was really easy to sort of mend in, find friends, you know, create friend groups, create that sort of community within the team, or do you think that was difficult or?
Yeah, I found it pretty difficult to be honest. Obviously the age gap was probably the biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
I was so used to just being around friends my own age back home. And then once I'd come over here, I was like trying to make friends with people that are a hell of a lot younger than me. And I made some really good friends throughout the throughout like the football and the university sort of thing. But I just knew that I was more than 10 years older than every other person I was in class with or at football with, and that sort of made it interesting. But
Yeah.
and it makes sense. Like that's the normal age of people that are going through university here, and
Yeah.
I'm different to that. So it's I had nothing against it. It was just hard to sort of not hard to get your head around, but hard to sort of really make a community and make a really good friendships with everyone. And the teams are so big as well, so that was a hard thing. I'd come from a team which was only 20 people, and then now we've got 120 people. So
Yeah, it's sort of aggressive. 120 people. And
yeah,
wasn't it a little ostracizing too with being a punter? Didn't like you weren't really always with everyone else. You and the kicker maybe
definitely.
or the long snapper were always off doing other things. So there wasn't ever really a cohesive, environment. I feel like it was separated at times, right?
And that's just nature of the sport.
Yeah.
You can't like special teams is such a small part of American football. It's like fourth down doesn't come as much as first down. So it makes sense. Like majority of the focus is on the offense and the
Yeah.
defense. And there's not much time. So in the time that you have, you've got to find things to do. And I I grew up kicking a football, so I would always love just going out there and kicking because you had the time, and I may as well use the time to try and get better. But the coaches always sort of prevented that because I would get pretty sore after
Yeah.
kicking five days in a row.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. The what really speaked in my head now that since I'm coming from an academic environment, this there's a theory that's called the sense of belonging theory. It was coined by an Austrian psychologist named Alfred Adler. It's called the sense of belonging, and so it talks about individuals feeling this sense of belonging and finding a community, which is what you were describing of maybe it was a little difficult to find community and your schedule was busy, you're coming over to a different country, you're sort of playing a different sport but kind of not, but you kind of are but kind of not. And so it's really interesting to sort of hear that sense of belonging. I'm curious if you think if other international athletes all have this sort of struggle with coming over to the US and then having a difficult time finding friends or making friends or finding that sort of community or finding that belonging that they sort of think or feel.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
I feel like I wouldn't be the only person that would have found it hard going to another country. I think a- anyone moves to any country that miss home, and
Yeah.
there'd be a barrier between the cultures, and
Mhm.
that's just part of the challenge. That's
Yeah.
why you because it's rewarding
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
when you sort of figure these things out.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I kind of want to jump back to that debate of or that kind of topic of student athlete, student identity versus athlete identity. With the introduction of the NIL, I'm sure you sort of experienced some of these. I'm sure you knew some teammates that were heavily involved with NIL, and I'm curious, with being a collegiate athlete, did were coaches where was the program really heavily strict or focused on academic performance, or did that more so come from you and your desire to want an education, or was the football program more focused on performance on the field rather than off the field?
I mean, yeah, I think that's a tough question because what I want to say is different to what's the truth.
Hmm.
Um, but honestly, yeah, I honestly think that because there's so much money involved
Right.
with the football, there's definitely more of a focus now on the football rather than the academics.
Yeah.
And that's understandable. But it's kind of sad because a lot of people I mean, they get a lot of money, but sometimes they don't get taught how to spend it
Yeah.
well, or how to save it for the future and look towards the future. So if they're not doing the education part, and they're just focusing on the football part, what happens next? So
Yeah.
that's the only thing I fear about some of the guys coming through the system now, especially. I mean, I'm sure that's always been a bit of an issue. Saying that though, a lot of the people in the Illinois team were very good. Like we had a really good record for our academics.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's probably worse at other schools, but yeah, I didn't see the absolute drop of the academics for football as
Yeah.
much.
But yeah, it's interesting and focus a little bit more on the NIL. I think it's become this sort of I love that the NCAA passed that ruling to allow college athletes to use their name, image, and likeness. But I'm curious if through your experience, do you think it has benefited the NCAA? Do you think it helps college athletes, or do you think it hurts college athletes? I'm curious what your opinion is.
Oh, it definitely helps college athletes because not everyone makes the NFL. In
Right.
terms of in terms of football, uh, making the NFL is quite very difficult, and having a successful career in the NFL is even more difficult. Um, so there's a lot of it's good that I feel like there needs to be more education on the um, not going out and just blowing $200,000 because you can.
Yeah.
And that's just part of growing up. You learn these things from making mistakes. That's part of being a human.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think it's good because it gives kids these opportunities to make money that they probably wouldn't get
Mhm.
otherwise.
Yeah.
And like yeah, can set a lot of people up for the future.
Yeah, I totally agree. I sort of do have a hot take though. I think that the NIL is wonderful for the collegiate atmosphere. I think it's great. I think a lot of collegiate athletes are making the most of it and making good money from it. But there are two options where I think it doesn't help. One is your experience where international athletes can't participate in NIL because it infringes upon the visa, right?
Yeah,
And so you can't receive money for athletic participation from branding or things of that nature because it violates the options of your visa and your citizenship, correct?
correct. Yeah. So the
Yeah.
visa states that you cannot
Yeah.
do any work in America. So that puts a lot of barriers in place for us being able to earn money
Yeah.
because we are solely here for an education.
Hmm.
And that's stipulated by the F1 visa. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the future's that's gonna change. Like college athletes, international college athletes, gonna have to be employees of the university, or are they going to remain F1 students? And that's, I mean, that's a bit above my pay grade to figure out.
Yeah.
So I'll let someone else take care of that. But I'm not sure what the future's going to look like for that.
Yeah, I'm not either. It's really interesting to think about because there's a lot of you think of a lot of there's a lot of international athletes that are coming over to pursue the same thing you did, and then they want an education, but also you have teammates that are probably making a bunch of money, and a lot of these international athletes are like, well, why can't I do something and make some sort of money? And being a student athlete, on that stipend, on a scholarship, stuff like that, it's not, you're not making six figures from
No,
these things,
exactly.
and so it's a little bit difficult for international athletes to come over and see their teammates driving around in Lambos and with Rolex and all this other stuff, and you're like, I'm gonna eat this chicken and rice or this BBJ. I'm not able to do that with the
Yeah.
NIL. Do you think or have you ever heard or you ever experienced any sort of like tension because you weren't able to do NIL, or do you think people were more supportive of that?
Uh, I think for me it was I'm pretty content with not driving around in the Lamborghini or anything like that. So I'd like to take what I can get,
Yeah.
um, and be happy with that. So for me, it didn't really affect me too much. I wasn't honestly when I came over here. I didn't even know NIL. This whole thing was going to be a factor.
Right.
So the fact that I was lucky enough to be involved in the whole NIL thing from the start was like the chances of that happening was pretty slim because I could have come over to here when I was 18, not 27. And if
Yeah.
I had to come over here when I was 18, I would have I would have graduated a long time before
Yeah.
NIL became a factor.
Yeah, it's wild. It's very interesting. I feel like it's a love-hate sort of environment. Like everybody loves the fact that we can get money. And yeah, I'm sure you did you play the recent NCAA video game, and did you see yourself on there and you're like, well, what the heck? Why can't I get like where's it like $5 or something like something for some sort of involvement or participation. And I'm curious what your experience was. Like, did you play the NCAA football game, and was it weird like playing with you in a video game? Like, did you experience that? Like,
It
how did
was
you?
it was pretty special. I mean, because I grew up playing EA like FIFA
Yeah.
since I was a kid. I loved playing with Liverpool when I was a kid, and so for me, like EA, I always knew the name, but I'd never played Madden or anything like that before. So to be on a game, like even though I'm not very good at the game, the college football game, I get
Yeah.
smashed every time. So it wasn't it wasn't as enjoyable as like if I was playing FIFA, but it was pretty cool to be on there. And we got paid from that because that wasn't considered work.
Okay.
It was just like a licensing agreement, I believe.
Right.
So the like EA Sports paid every single athlete that was on the game.
Really?
Yeah, $500, I think it was.
Oh,
It was like there was a big sort of there was an article about it a while ago, but yeah,
yeah.
they sort of I think there's a few guys that definitely got more because maybe they were on the cover or one of the ads or whatever, or um
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure what
Yeah.
the different payments were in that situation, but most of the people got about a $500 paycheck or something from EA Sports.
Yeah, I just Googled it. Right now it says they would receive up to $600 and a copy ahead of
Yeah,
college
yeah.
football. They would for $600 and a copy of the game. And some individuals got upwards of 1,500 depending on, I guess, popularity or something. I'm not sure, but it says that they paid him specific. Like that's great. That's awesome.
Hmm.
Maybe more games in the future. More people will get more money for that. That's really cool. It's really
I could see that
interesting.
happening for sure. But like
Yeah.
that's the whole reason NIL came in, I think,
Mm.
because in 2014, I don't know, I didn't know about it at the time, but there was an NCAA game that I've definitely heard about since I've been over here, and that was the first that that was the first one they did. I think the last one they did until
Mhm.
the most recent one
Yeah.
because of that big factor of like, look, I'm on a video game and I'm not getting paid, so a lot of people didn't like that decision,
Yeah.
and rightly so. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I would be a little upset too if I was video game come out. I'm on there and I'm like, well, where's my cut? Like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
on the
exactly.
game. I'm in the game. Like,
Yeah,
where's
yeah.
where's the little bit of cut for me? Like, that would be nice. You have to be a little bit selfish in that sense. So it makes a lot of sense. It's really interesting. I'm curious. I kind of want to transition to just speaking about the punting position. And I know
Yeah.
after but speaking with you, I feel like the general census with football is special teams kind of get forgotten about. Like the kickers. Unfortunately, kickers I think are a little bit more, in my opinion, a bit more in the limelight or the spotlight, just because there's a lot of times when you need a field goal to win in overtime, things like that. But I don't really recall on the back of my memory of like, oh my gosh, this game drastically changed because the punter punted every one of his kicks within 5 yards. I mean, it's great, but like it's not the same sort of dynamic. And I'm curious, like, what your thoughts are on the punting position. Do you think it deserves more respect, or do you think it is what it is?
Um, honestly, like I definitely I know that the kicking position that'd be a tough position, like to have. Or I reckon every day I was at football, I'd always hear about the double doink that happened in Chicago.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the player. If you probably Cody Parkey, I think it is.
Yep.
That's yeah, I think that sounds about right.
Yep.
I've heard about him a lot of times, but there's a lot of pressure on the kicker position because there are so many points up for grabs, and it's such an important position for that. Um, in terms of the field position battle, especially for like a low scoring game, for example, the punting is very, very drastically important
Yeah.
because um, if both defenses are doing really well, um, it's up to the punter to try and sort of get us down the field. So I'd say in those lower scoring games, definitely more important. Whereas in those high scoring games where both offenses are doing really well, probably less important.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like punting is one of those positions where if you have an amazing punter, you understand the importance of the role and you see how impactful it can be. If you have an
Yeah,
average punter, you're like, meh, it's like, nah,
you don't even think
okay.
about it. Yeah,
Yeah, and but then if you have a bad punter, it's also one of those things you're like, wow, that was a terrible punt. Like we need to take advantage. Like maybe they have a weak punter. And so I think it's one of those positions where I think it deserves a lot more respect than people are giving it. And I know it's
yeah,
extremely hard. Like the pro kick requirements, like 40 yards, a 40-yard punt. Like, I mean, I used to play soccer. I played collegiately at the NAI level for a year. Like, don't think I could hit a 40-yard punt. I don't know if I could do a 4.5 hang time punt like that. The things y'all do with some of these positionings and backspin and all that sort of stuff, like it's a hidden skill that I have a lot of respect for. That if you try to kick a ball backwards, basically to get it to bounce backwards, like that's very difficult. It's hard to do.
yeah.
It's easy to get it to roll forward, but hard to get it to roll back. And so it's very interesting. I'm really sort of respected with the punting position. And do you think that that position will become a lot more important in the NFL, or do you think it's still just gonna be as it is? Like, do you think that the skill level of the punters that you maybe experienced with or played with, do you see that sort of on the rise? Where do you think it's going to become a bit more of a respected role like a kicker, and where you start pinpointing these punts, in specific spots, and programs will seek really good top talented punters, or do you think it's still sort of just meh on average? We'll just kind of it is what it is.
I think the more the coaches allow the punters to um, like do more fake punts, I think that will really
Yeah,
change the game lot more because stealing a first down, I mean, it's obviously very dangerous, very risky, but stealing a first down um, when you had a fourth down and you were ready to punt is that changes the game
yeah,
more than anything else because you're maintaining possession of the ball and gives you momentum for the team. So
yeah,
I think that's definitely going to come into it in the future where you get a lot more athletic hunters coming in that are harder to sort of stop. There's a lot
yeah,
of great athletes from Australia that are coming over all the
yeah,
time. Um,
yeah, yeah.
and
It's
as soon
very
as
interesting.
it's like, but when you talk about the NFL, like 20 years ago, every position's getting better in the NFL. 20 years
Yeah.
ago, like it's hard to compare because as time progresses, the quality of players get better and better, and that's every
Right.
sport.
Yeah, yeah, it's very interesting. Were you ever involved in a trick punt play? And like I'm curious what your thought was during it, if you ever did it. Like you're like, oh my God, this is terrifying. I'm about to throw a pass. Like or like, I'm about to run run this ball. Or did you ever have to tackle the runner? Like how did like you I mean you don't train really to do that. And like I'm curious what
No.
your experience was with those situations.
I had my first season I had a fake punt against uh Northwestern.
Mhm.
Just the ball was thrown out to me and snapped out to me, and then it just opened. Everyone left, and I saw it like clear as day, and then just ran for it, and then I had another incident. I had an incident that was the year after where it didn't go so well. So it could it's one way or the other, and it's really it could define a game for sure.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that will come in further in the future. But no, I never got the chance to throw the ball.
Uh,
With my cricketing background, that was kind of a missed opportunity as well.
yeah, I feel like you could
um,
have been a hidden gem. Just chuck the ball up, 20, 30 yards to one of the boys on the end. So it's really interesting. Like I feel like some of these punters will maybe sort of how like Michael Vick transformed the quarterback role, where it used to
yeah,
be a very stable, not very mobile role, but now modern day quarterbacks like they have to be fast, they have to be quick. And so maybe that's a hidden skill that coaches and departments are looking for punters to have that sort of skill to throw out a fake punt. And, I
yeah,
know the NFL, Andy Reid, they're well known for doing random plays, like crazy stuff and trick plays. And same with Detroit, they're known for basically going for it or doing trick plays as well. And so it's really interesting to see maybe future Australians or future punters will start to train in other sports or something to be a bit more agile. And you'll see all these crazy trick plays from these punters. And I feel like that would be kind of wild.
yeah. No, I
Yeah.
can see that definitely. I can see that happening. There's a lot of great athletes in the AFL
Yeah.
um, right now. There's so much speed and all sort of stuff. So it's only a matter of time where that gets used in the punting position more. It's just a matter of whether the coach has the courage to take that chance and possibly change the game.
Yeah, I'm curious what your experience was when you graduated. You said you're now on the job market, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So what sort of like criteria would a punter need to have for you to want to pursue like the draft or want to be picked up by a team? What's that dynamic like? Is it the same with, other roles, or is there a different approach with that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so it's like honestly, the NFL is such a cutthroat sort of industry. For
Mhm.
me, I felt like I'd gotten a lot of out of the experience, and I realized my age and all that sort of stuff. And I think I was just ready to sort of move on and like sort of get a job and start my career in the next phase of life. So
Yeah.
it was always definitely like it was never really in my mind coming over here that okay, I'm doing this to make the NFL. I was doing this for the education and the experience, um, and all those things combined. And if I made the NFL, it was a bonus.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, it was I've gotten so much out of this experience and just excited for the next sort of stage of life.
Yeah, it's interesting. Do you think with a lot of international athletes coming over, do you think they all sort of have the same idea, the same thought that they all collectively want to just get an education first and then sort of play secondly? Or do you think it was just your personal experience that you wanted to focus a little bit more heavily on the experience of schooling and things of that nature, and punting was just something you ended up being really good at?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's definitely guys that come through the program with their eyes set on making it to the NFL, and that's that's awesome for them. But it's everyone's got their sort of their own sort of journey through life, and I think for me that was what I took out of it. I didn't really put any expectations on myself; just wanted to enjoy it um, and and get that education and um, growth in myself, really.
Yeah, yeah, it's really interesting. Um, there's a really sort of interesting dynamic with this whole, international athlete NIL situation and, college sports. And I'm curious, when you came over, was one of the biggest culture shocks like just college sport in general? Because like you said earlier, in back home, like it's not sort of commercialized like that. So I'm just curious what you thought of just the whole stage of college football. And I'm sure you've been in many stadiums, many high stakes games, and these stadiums are massive, sold out crowds, 100,000 fans. Like, I'm curious what that was like. You're like, oh my God, I'm in America punting a ball in this stadium with
Yeah.
thousands and thousands of people looking at me. Like, I'm curious how you experienced that.
Yeah, it was definitely a scary experience for sure.
Mm,
Coming over here and coming to all the different, but honestly, the first time I stepped in, like when I was looking at videos of different teams, and like when I'd committed to Illinois, I was having a look at the facilities and all that sort of stuff. I was just in awe, at how big it and large it was and how much money is invested into it. So that sort of that took me about a year to get over, I'd say, because
yeah.
it was just fascinating how how much money and love that people have for college football, and that was yeah, it was a really interesting experience.
Yeah. Did you ever experience fans like messaging you or yelling things at you? Like you said, you botched a fourth down trick play. Like, did you ever experience people like yelling at you for that or like fan hate? I'm curious. Maybe did you ever see any of those? I'm
Yeah,
sure you saw it with other positions and other people, but I'm curious what that dynamic was.
yeah, it's a sad part of the sport for sure.
Yeah.
I definitely got a few like messages through Instagram and all that sort of stuff, and once you've seen them, you can't unsee them, and it's just like I just wish there was a filter that just like not prevent them from coming through.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've always got those people out there that just they're pretty good at playing the sport from their armchair, but they're probably not so good when they're right in front of your face.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. Like, did you ever like maybe hear in the locker room or anything like that, people were talking about these things? Or so I'm curious, like as a fan, like and I support things. Sometimes I'm constantly yelling at my TV and all that sort of stuff. But if I were to actually message a player or things
Oh
of that,
yeah.
like you're sort of crossing a boundary. Like you are connecting to them individually, telling them, wow, that was a terrible play, blah blah blah. But like, I'm curious, did you ever hear other teammates like talking about this? Like, what did they think when they got sort of these comments? Was it like, oh, look at this guy he's saying some stupid stuff to me, I don't really care? Or did you think it actually really impacted your teammates a little bit more than that?
Oh, it definitely impacts. Like at the end of the day, we're human.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the players will make mistakes.
Hmm.
I remember my second game, I think it was, and I had the first game. I was coming in with so much confidence, and then I went to another stadium, and just had a massive crowd, and just shit the bed to say. And got plenty of messages the next day. Everyone was sort of ripping into me on my Instagram. I just delete all the messages and stuff like that. So it's one of those things I think a lot of guys go through, and then once they've gone through it, it's tough. But they sort of next time it happens, it doesn't affect them as much.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Do you think there's ever an environment that was so hostile that you didn't like playing there, you didn't like competing there? Was there a team that stood out to you? You're like, oh, like if we go to that stadium, I know these fans are just gonna be wild. Was there ever a team that you felt that way, or was it just
Purdue,
depend?
I'd say Purdue, the Lafayette, West Lafayette. Yeah, they
Yeah.
were just interesting people in Indiana. Just fascinating folk.
Yeah, it's
Um,
interesting.
that's all. That's the only way you can describe it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I loved Nebraska. I loved going to Nebraska and playing there. Everyone's so friendly.
Yeah.
And Iowa, I found everyone in Iowa very friendly, and
Mm.
most of the places really. But Penn State was probably another place where they were pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Um, Pennsylvania, they have a pretty passionate fan base everywhere. But that doesn't surprise me much at all.
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny you say Purdue immediately. I think don't we have a rivalry with Purdue? Isn't that sort of why?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, the cannon game,
Yeah,
what we
that'll
call it.
do it. Yeah, that's interesting. Do you think experiencing this sort of side of sport, like you getting these messages, did that change the way that you saw sport in general? Because you're like, wow, these people they're messaging me all these crazy things. Like maybe I will see sport differently, or maybe I respect athletes a little bit more because I was one, and now you sort of consume sport or view it differently within just the world in general.
Definitely, definitely. It was like I mean. when I had played the game, I feel like I'm my biggest critic all the time in
Yeah.
every sport. And you have to be, otherwise you're not going to go anywhere
Mhm.
as an athlete or
Yeah.
as a competitor if you're not hard on yourself. So I think I was hard on myself more than probably the people messaging me were, but that brought me down as well in
Mhm.
that situation. So I just realized, I think after that, I realized the significance of, I mean, I'd always known that it was a big and an important sport, but
Mhm.
the significance it plays on people to go out of their way and target a player and not or and say some pretty mean stuff
Yeah, I'm sure.
that you would definitely not say to the person if they were standing right in front of you.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a product of the most recent generations
Yeah.
and possibly a bit of online gambling in there as well.
Yeah, I think the keyboard warriors, they're called. They'll say whatever they want through a keyboard, but if you stand in front of them, they won't say a single word. It's totally different. It's like hiding behind your keyboard, and it's really
Yeah.
interesting. People will say whatever they'll speak their mind if you miss a punt or whatever, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're terrible," or something. But they'll never say it to your face, and so
Yeah, yeah,
it's really
yeah, yeah.
interesting. I'm curious, do you feel like this sort of environment exists back home, or is this no way?
I think it does.
Yeah,
Yeah. Every time there's a player or an athlete put on a pedestal like
yeah,
playing in front of a lot of people, they're going to have critics. They're going to have a lot of fans, but they're going to have a lot of cricket critics, and that's just part and parcel of being in the position you are. People are going to be critical of you
yeah, exactly.
um, because they care about it, and fair enough. I don't blame them, people for reaching out to me and saying mean stuff, abusive sort of stuff, but at the end of the day, like, do you really have nothing else to do than to reach out
Yeah, then to
and like
DM the punter and be like, "Wow, dude, that
it's
was terrible." Like what?
like
What's the,
how is your life going if you're
yeah?
doing that? Like
What's the end goal here for someone DMing you and like what's that going to change? I don't.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
That's wild.
As long as they sort of feel better about telling me how I play pump my footballs, then
Yeah,
I mean credit to them, good on them.
yeah.
They're wasting their time anyway. Anyway,
Yeah, that's interesting. That's really funny. Do you think the culture of sport here in the US, do you think that will ever transition back home to Australia with that, college football, this sort of environment? I know it's not the same, but do you think that atmosphere will transition over, or do you think it already has? Do you think the connection with sport is different with collegiate football and maybe Aussie rules football? Do you see any similarities or differences?
I think because of the whole local sports that I grew up playing,
Yeah,
there's a lot more focus on that rather than the big games.
yeah.
So there's definitely like obviously AFL has a lot of fans and there's a lot of really passionate fans. But people have their own lives that they're sort of participating in as well. So
Mhm.
they're sort of I don't know, they're spending their time doing that rather than being obsessed with the sport as much.
Yeah.
Like for example, if we're at a social event with my local football team, like the AFL game of that night will be on the TV somewhere,
Hmm.
but most of the time everyone's just socializing with each
Yeah.
other and they're just sort
Okay.
of looking at it in the background. So I feel like it's a different culture, so it's not going to be the same ever. But saying that though, um, college football and NFL in Australia is becoming more and more popular every day. So I
Really?
think they're playing a game of NFL in Australia
Are they?
next season. Yeah, I believe
Really?
so.
Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be great. I know the NFL is expanding. Like last year, I think they played in Berlin, and or did they play in Mexico? I think they're trying to do an
They played in
international
Brazil as
game.
well.
Really?
They played a
That's
game in Brazil as well.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think back home, like, if they were to show up and play a game in Sydney or something, like, are these games massively important for like your community for Australia, or is it more like, oh, this will be fun, like screw it, let's go get some beers and go to the game, or
Yeah.
is it sort of different? It's like, oh my God, the NFL is here. Is there more emphasis on it, or is it just like it's just a game, let's go to it and drink some beers? Or I'm curious what you think.
I think it'll bring a lot of people to the
Yeah,
game for sure.
yeah,
But um, it's like when they're trying to expand the game, and I think it's definitely going to work. There's going to be a lot more fans come out of it because of the time zone difference in Australia as well. It's perfect to watch. Like on Sunday when the Super Bowl's on a Sunday, isn't it?
yeah,
Super Bowl
yeah.
Sunday. Yeah,
It's
it makes
usually
sense.
5 p.m. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's perfect for Australia because that's Monday morning at like 11 o'clock. So
oh nice.
so people have a lot of like day parties on a Monday,
Yeah,
take the day off work or whatever, and
yeah, wow.
have a party on Monday. So it'll definitely increase the popularity of the NFL in
Mhm.
Australia. But um, I don't know the fans as it is. There's already a lot of fans watching it now,
Mhm.
and the game will be huge. But I think AFL will still be the dominant sport.
Yeah. Do you think there are, I know there's a bunch of other leagues like MLB, they do international games. Do you think there's any other sport that could come to Australia and really make an impact? Or do you think y'all are just going to stick with Aussie rules football, rugby, cricket? Or do you think there's other sports that are starting to make an impact?
Oh, I'd say the NFL's definitely making it. It's an
Yeah.
entertaining sport. Like it's
Yeah, it
so
is.
good to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably the one sport that's going to make an impact in Australia
Hmm.
if there's any. Soccer is getting a lot bigger everywhere around the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
I'm like even me moving to America, I got really, really into soccer since moving over here.
Yeah.
Because of the ability to watch the European sort of soccer
Hmm.
now, as opposed to trying to watch it at like 2 in the morning back home in
Yeah.
Australia. Um, but that's definitely growing in Australia, and I think it's growing in America as well,
Yeah.
very quickly.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think that's probably the sport that's gonna take over the most if there's any.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I agree. I think football is starting to become a lot more global, and I'm really curious to see maybe 10, 20 years time, will there be teams in different leagues in different countries, and will they compete against the NFL or against collegiate teams, or will the NFL be more global, or will it be included in the Olympics or things like that? But I think one of the things that I remember hearing is individuals that play rugby and transition over to football is that football players don't know how to tackle, that the tackling
Yeah.
in football is terrible because they don't do it safely at all. They hide behind the helmet, they hide behind the pads. But with rugby, you don't have any pads and you tackle almost as much as you do, in the regular game. So it's interesting, like the dynamic. Did you see a difference too? And, if you participated in tackle sports, like, did you see, wow, it's a bit more dangerous, this sport is, or, I'm just curious what you think about that.
Yeah, I definitely see a lot of players. You grow up wearing the helmet and the pads,
Yeah.
and um and there's such a like the NFL and the college football. It's such a big emphasis on inches and yards, and um, you need to stop that person from getting
Yeah.
those yards. So whatever your body can physically do to stop him
Mhm.
is what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And rugby's the same, but I think if you led with your head in rugby, you'd find out very quickly that you probably wouldn't be playing rugby for much longer, to be
Yeah.
honest. So
Yeah.
you sort of you can get away with it, I think. American football.
Yeah.
Um, and to your first question, I don't know if there's going to be leagues outside of America. I think it's so ingrained into the American culture
Mhm.
that I just don't see another country focusing that heavily on American football that they're going to be able to beat any American team.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the closest sport that reminds me of this situation is baseball. So I know Japan is really freaking good at baseball. There's a lot of Dominican countries that are really good. Um, they can compete really well in baseball. And so that I think is one sport. I know they're including in the Olympics, but like you said with football, I think they're sort of just trying to grow the popularity and I think at the end of the day make a bit more money.
Yeah,
And not
that's
really
unlike the NFL.
yeah, and like not really grow players more so, just more so grow popularity.
Yeah,
Because I know my current advisor, he played football in Japan, but it's different. It's just different, and it's really interesting. So yeah, I don't know if there will be leagues like that, like you said. It's really interesting to think about, but I think the NFL is very ingrained, like you said, ingrained in American culture, and like you experience like these stadiums with college football it's very hostile, and like you
yeah,
experienced fan hate and all that sort of stuff. That's kind of wild to me that, even as, the punter, like you're not really on the field a lot, but you still received things and like that's wild to me. So it's very intriguing.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, and to sort of transition to the end here, I'm curious like what's the roadmap ahead? Like now you've graduated, you're done competing, right? Now you're searching for a job. Are you thinking of
Yeah.
maybe going back to being a police officer, or because you were a police officer back home? So what's the route ahead?
I just got a new job working for an AI startup
Cool.
called Swipe By.
Okay.
Just like how I really enjoy it because we're using AI to sort of help out small restaurants,
Oh, cool.
help them compete against the large chains
Yeah.
of food that there's plenty of those in America. So
Hmm.
it's very rewarding. So just I've been doing that for about 2 weeks, 2, 3 weeks. So still in the early days of that, and then we're looking, me and my wife, we just got married, Brooke, looking at the next steps for where we're going to sort of end up living in America and
Yeah.
like put down some roots.
Yeah. Do you think there's any spot in America that calls to you, or you think you're ingrained now in Illinois?
Um, well, Brooks' family's all from Columbus, sort of region in Ohio. So we're sort of looking at the moment down that way
Hmm.
for long term. But
Yeah.
my family's all back in Australia. But I really like living in America, so I could see myself definitely living here for a long time.
Yeah, you don't think you'll try to coerce Brooke to move into Australia?
Maybe one day. Maybe one day. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe retirement or something.
Yeah, yeah. I just there's so much going on in America, and I like that, and then
Yeah,
there's so much opportunity here, so it's kind of exciting
yeah.
living here, and I like the work ethic of everyone in America, and
Mhm.
um the grind they call it. But yeah, the grind culture here. I
Yeah.
do. I really like. I wish Americans sort of traveled outside their own country a little bit more.
Hmm.
Um, it'd be like I think they could do with a little bit more like time off in a row. So not so much just like 5 days of annual leave every year, but like maybe 2 or 3 weeks and have the
Yeah.
ability to go visit a different culture in a different country.
Yeah.
I think that'd be very beneficial for a lot of Americans. But that's I enjoy it here. Everyone's very resilient, and
Hmm.
that's one thing I really love about America.
Yeah, that's good. That's awesome. That's good to hear. You're thinking about staying and well, maybe going back home at some point. But I do agree. I think Americans do need to branch out and go to other countries, experience other countries. It's so I feel like it's difficult just because how
It's hard,
massive the US is and the time, the commitment, like all this stuff. It's a lot easier if
and the
you lived
money,
in
the
Europe.
money as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's
It's
gotten
very
so
costly.
expensive. It's gotten so expensive. I mean, it's a lot easier if you, live in Europe. You can take a train for like $20 and you'll be in five different countries in the same day.
Exactly.
Like that's wild to
Yeah.
me. But here, like, in Texas, you could drive for what, like 20 hours and still be in Texas. And it's like, okay, it's just aggressive. I feel like that's why people may not go because it's just so big. And it's like,
I mean, there's so much to do in America. Like you can
yeah,
do anything. You can go skiing in Colorado.
yeah.
And you can go hiking. You can hike anywhere, but you can hike in the mountains in Colorado. You can go down to the Appalachian Mountains. You can go
Mhm.
to the beach in Florida. There's so much to do, and the desert as well.
Yeah, yeah, literally have every
There's
single biome possible. And so that's I think that's why everybody just stays in the US. And pretty passionate about being in the US, and they'll probably just travel within. But yeah, that sort of concludes the questions and the flow of the podcast. I really appreciate you joining. I'm looking forward to hearing your story going forward. Hopefully you find a spot in what was it, Columbus, you said, maybe down the road. I'm
yeah, correct.
really happy for y'all. So thank you again for joining. Hope everyone enjoyed the podcast, and we'll see you for episode 3. So thank you for joining.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, thank you.